But let's talk about emotional independence, because this is where true power lies. Emotional independence isn't about not needing anyone. It's about not needing anyone to validate your worth. It's about becoming so secure in who you are that other people's opinions become influence. When you build emotional independence, you stop making decisions based on fear of being alone. You start making decisions based on alignment with your purpose. You stop accepting relationships that drain you because you're afraid of solitude. You start choosing relationships that enhance the amazing life you've already created. Take out your phone right now. Look at your reflection in the dark screen. That person looking back at you, that's who you need to fall in love with first. That's who you need to trust first. That's who you need to believe in first. Because when you do, something magical happens. You start attracting people who love, trust, and believe in you too. Your alone time is your laboratory for life. It's where you experiment with new thoughts. You try on new beliefs and test new behaviors. There's no audience to impress, no critics to please, just you and your potential stretching into infinity. Or you start treating your solitude like a sacred classroom. Every morning, ask yourself, what can I learn today that will make me stronger tomorrow? Every evening, reflect. How did I grow today? What did I discover about my... These questions turn your alone time into growth time. You know what's beautiful about personal growth in solitude? Nobody can take it from you. Nobody can diminish it. Nobody can question it. Because you didn't grow for their applause. You grew for your own evolution. If we create daily success ritual in your solitude, maybe it's reading empowering books for 30 minutes. Maybe it's journaling your victories, no matter how small. Maybe it's practicing your craft when no one's watching. These private victories become public success. Your emotional independence is like a muscle. It grows stronger with every challenge you face alone. Every time you comfort yourself through disappointment, every time you celebrate your own wins, every time you choose your own path despite pressure to conform, you're building that muscle. Well, think about water. In its soft flowing state, it can be contained, directed, even stopped. But when it stands alone, when it becomes ice, it's unstoppable. It can split rocks, move mountains, carve valleys. That's what's happening in your solitude. You're becoming unstoppable. I want you to start seeing your growth season differently. These quiet moments aren't empty spaces between activities. They're the foundation of everything you're becoming. Your solitude isn't the absence of connection. It's the presence of self-connection, the deepest connection you'll ever need. As you embrace this season of growth, remember, the oak tree doesn't grow because it wants to reach the sky. It grows because that's what oak trees do. Your growth in solitude isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. And as we move forward, as we step into the next phase of our journey together, we're going to discover how all this growth, all this strength, all this emotional independence creates something beautiful. It creates joy. Not the fleeting happiness that comes from external circumstances, but the deep, abiding joy that comes from being perfectly content in your own presence. Are you ready to discover how to manifest that joy in your solitude? Are you prepared to see how all this growth blooms into happiness that no one can shake? Because that's where we're heading next, into the garden of joy that you've been cultivating all along, perhaps without even knowing it. Now that we've cultivated strength and solitude and embraced personal growth, let's unlock the most beautiful secret of being alone, discovering pure, unshakable joy. When was the last time you smiled simply because you were happy being with you? That's the kind of joy we're about to create together. If you're sitting in your favorite spot, maybe it's a cozy corner of your home, or perhaps it's a quiet cafe. You're completely alone, and instead of reaching for your phone or looking around nervously, you feel a warm smile spreading across your face. That's not just happiness, that's joy in solitude, and it's available to you right now. Let me share something powerful with you. Joy isn't found, it's created. It's built one moment at a time, one choice at a time, one victory at a time. And the beautiful thing about creating joy in solitude, you don't need anyone's permission to be happy. You don't need to wait for the perfect circumstances. You just need to decide right now that you're going to be the architect of your own happiness. I want you to think about what I call your joy inventory. These are the little things that light you up inside. Maybe it's the way sunlight streams through your window in the morning. Maybe it's the first sip of your favorite tea. Maybe it's the sound of rain on your roof. Start collecting these moments like precious gems because they're the building blocks of your solo happiness. You know what's fascinating? Research shows that people who learn to enjoy their own company actually experience more satisfaction in their relationships. Why? Because they're not coming from a place of emotional hunger. They're coming from a place of emotional abundance. Let me tell you about Marcus, a client who transformed his life by mastering the art of solo joy. Every evening, he started what he called his victory lap, writing down 3 things he accomplished that day. Made my bed with hospital corners. I sent that difficult email, cooked a healthy meal. At first, it felt awkward, even silly, but after 30 days, he noticed something remarkable. He wasn't just noting victories, he was creating them intentionally throughout his day. This is where practical steps come into play. You start your day with what I call a joy intention. Before your feet hit the floor, decide one thing you'll do today just to make yourself smile. Maybe it's wearing your favorite outfit for no special occasion. Maybe it's taking a different route to work to see something new. Maybe it's treating yourself to lunch at that cafe you've been eyeing. Create daily rituals that celebrate your relationship with yourself. Try this every evening. Have a proper date with yourself. Set the table nicely even when eating alone. Light a candle. Treat yourself with the same respect and attention you give to someone you deeply care about, because you should deeply care about yourself. Here's a powerful truth. The way you spend your alone time sets the tone for every other aspect of your life. When you learn to create joy in solitude, you stop accepting joyless situations in your relationships, your career, and your daily life. You develop what I call your joy compass, an inner guidance system that naturally steers you toward what lights you up. Let's talk about personal achievements. The society often teaches us to wait for external validation, but what if you became your own biggest cheerleader? Start keeping a victory journal. Every night, write down one thing you did that made you proud. It doesn't have to be climbing Mount Everest. Maybe you finally organized that drawer, or spoke up in a meeting, or chose water instead of soda. Create celebration rituals for yourself. Did you finish a project at work? Take yourself on a reward walk in nature. Did you stick to your exercise routine all week? Have a spa day at home? Did you handle a difficult situation with grace? Write yourself a congratulatory letter? These aren't just activities. They're investments in your relationship with yourself. You know what's beautiful about celebrating your achievements in solitude? There's no need to downplay your joy to make others comfortable. There's no need to minimize your success to seem humble. You can be fully, radiantly happy about your accomplishments without worrying about anyone else's reaction. Start what I call joy collecting. Throughout your day, mentally photograph moments that bring you peace or pleasure. The way your coffee swirls when you stir it. The satisfaction of making your bed perfectly. The achievement of completing your workout. These aren't just moments. They're evidence that joy is available everywhere, especially in solitude. That transform your living space into a joy sanctuary. Every room should have at least one thing that makes you smile just by looking at it. Maybe it's a photo of your proudest moment, a small plant you're nurturing, or a quote that inspires you.